Welcome to our documentary about the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. We decided to look at this because we noticed that there was an underwhelming amount of problems with Qatar. We noticed that with all the major issues going on, that they would not be a good fit to host the World Cup in 2022. The financial issues were definitely the biggest problems that Qatar was going to face. In the following documentary, we will address the problems that Qatar is going to face in terms of the financials that revolve around the World Cup.
In the past 3 World Cups, the cheapest has been South Africa, paying $3.6 billion. The most expensive has been Brazil, paying $15 billion. Qatar is projected to spend about $220 billion on the World Cup, which is over 14 times the amount Brazil spent. In 2014, the World Cup was hosted by Brazil. Brazil spent an estimated amount of $15 billion. It is the most money spent on any World Cup currently. Government officials were certain that they were going to make a grand profit. Unfortunately, it did not end like that. Although there was a high influx of tourism during the World Cup games, the overall number of tourists dropped around 10 to 15% after the World Cup ended. From the tourists that Brazil did attract, they made a profit of about $13 billion. Brazil was also hoping to boost their employment numbers, offering over 1 million jobs, but many companies closed during the World Cup, which led to less people being hired and less business days. This was not the first time a World Cup led to negative economic results, in which the last time before Brazil was 4 years prior in South Africa, where they made massive public investments, but tourists still did not bother to visit afterwards. World Cup like these bring fear into government officials of Qatar. As said earlier, Qatar is estimated to spend about $220 billion. Qatar is spending such a massive amount of money for the World Cup because it is coming from nothing. Qatar had no stadiums that suited the size of the World Cup stadium. They need to invest a portion of their budget into transportation, especially with the amount of people who will be visiting Qatar during the World Cup. And Qatar is having shipments of different types of grass coming to the country constantly to test which type of grass works best in the dry desert conditions of Qatar. Along with the World Cup necessities, part of the budget is going towards building a new city inside of Qatar. Qatar is investing $45 billion of the budget in building a city called Lusail, although there are still multiple other projects in the works. With all these additions and recent political issues being brought up about Qatar, bribing FIFA executive and accusations of supporting terrorism, many officials fear that Qatar has invested way too much money to have a chance at making a profit or even making their money back in this next World Cup.
Hey, what's up guys? My name is Andrew Moak. I'm a sophomore here at the University of Kentucky, majoring in accounting and finance, so happy to be here.
Alright, what's up Andrew? We're about to ask you some quick questions about the FIFA World Cup. Do you know about the controversy surrounding the World Cup?
Yes, I do.
Alright, in terms of Qatar's economy, why are they a bad candidate to host the World Cup?
Yeah, their economy is not very stable to begin with, so I don't see them being very successful with managing that huge influx of people and money. It's very often that we'll see situations like this where countries are so ill-prepared to handle such large-scale events like this. I find it pretty unlikely that they'll have the skilled labor or even experience to manage this in an efficient or even effective way.
Alright, how do you think Qatar will be impacted by the $220 billion budget they have for the World Cup?
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that a lot of it goes to waste. This is a pretty common thing seen in most hosting countries, so I see no reason that it would be any different with Qatar either. Goes back to the whole skill set idea that I brought up earlier. A massive amount of responsibility is required to handle a budget of that size, especially for an event of that magnitude. And for a country with an economy that is in that poor of condition, I don't see that level of responsibility or expertise being present.
And one final question. Would you be willing to sign a petition that would help the World Cup either be relocated or expanded to neighboring countries?
Absolutely. As an avid soccer fan, I want the experience as a fan to be as entertaining as possible. And that can only be done if the event itself is well managed and the soccer players are taken good care of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Connor Fry. I'm a mechanical engineering major. I'm a sophomore here at the University of Kentucky.
Alright, Connor, we're just going to ask you a couple of questions about the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Do you know about the controversy surrounding the FIFA World Cup?
Yes, I do. I know about it.
Why is Qatar so unqualified to host the World Cup this year?
So the country is not economically stable enough to host it. If they were to host the economy would fall apart, and it would also ruin the World Cup for millions of fans.
Alright, how important is it that the World Cup is hosted by a nation that can support itself?
It is extremely important. If the country doesn't have the funds to support itself, it will completely crumble. Without being able to support themselves, they will not be able to host the event properly, and could lead to a bunch of problems, not only for the fans, but also it would also make it dangerous for the players. This could be detrimental to the sport and to its fan base.
All right, one last question. Would you be willing to sign a petition that would help the World Cup either be relocated or expanded to neighboring countries?
I definitely would be able to sign anything for it. I played soccer all my life, and I'm a huge fan of the game. I love the World Cup, so like just anything for the game.
All right, thank you.
Hey guys, my name's Jack Durham. I'm a sophomore and I'm a finance major.
All right, Jack, we're just going to ask you a couple questions about the FIFA World Cup. Do you know about the controversy surrounding the World Cup?
Yeah, I know a fair amount about it.
Why is Qatar so unqualified to host the World Cup this year?
They have little to no human rights whenever it comes to construction, and specialists believe that there's going to be a ton of accidental deaths. Also, there's multiple bribery scandals already. The tournament would most likely be played in the summer, it would have to be played in the winter whenever it's normally played in the summer because of the heat. But they're really confused on what they're going to do there. They also don't have the stability to host such a large event like the World Cup.
All right. How important is it that the World Cup is hosted by a nation that can support itself?
It's super important. We can look back at past countries that hosted it, like South Africa, and we can still see the giant stadiums that were built for that specific tournament, and they just remain empty, and they still have to take money in to keep those stadiums keep them stable, and it's just a waste of money in the end. And it's unnecessary to the economy.
All right, one last question. Would you be willing to sign a petition that would help the World Cup either be relocated or expanded to neighboring countries?
Yeah, I would. I think it would help with multiple problems that they're currently facing, and I think it would be best for the sport because right now it's not safe for the fans or the players to play in Qatar with the limited resources.
Thank you.
We polled a group of roughly 60 college students using the website SurveyMonkey. We asked them what they knew about the World Cup, if they knew where the next World Cup was being hosted, if they will watch the World Cup, and if they are aware of the controversies surrounding the upcoming 2022 World Cup. Finally, we asked if they care about this controversy. To us, it was shocking how little people knew about the World Cup. Answers ranged from nothing at all to doesn't involve soccer to detailed descriptions of how the system works with groups and everything. About 52% of participants knew where the next World Cup was being hosted. 60% said they'll watch the event. And this 60 interested us because the lack of information known about the event. Whether these viewers simply do not care about soccer or just only care about the World Cup has yet to be decided. It is also interesting that not many participants knew about the controversies involving Qatar as the host country for the next World Cup. Even among those who knew, many simply did not care about the controversy. All in all, we think that more media attention needs to be given to this issue, as hardly anyone knows or cares about the issues going on. It's essential the World Cup is held in the right place, and Qatar is not right for this. All in all, this survey showed that while a number of people care, a majority is a combination of oblivious or just plain apathetic. Steps must be taken to educate them on why we need the World Cup moved to a country that's more suitable, or other solutions such as opening it to several countries surrounding Qatar.
Thank you for watching our documentary. We hope that you know more about the problems that Qatar is facing and why they are not a good candidate. You can learn more about the World Cup if you visit FIFA's website. We hope you will join us in our attempt to have the World Cup removed from Qatar so that the fans and players can have the best experience possible. Thank you.